Wait. What was the difference between programming now
Oh,
and
uh, so
and I am aware of Voltron,
okay.
but
Okay,
let's come back to it.
So I guess, I mean, from that aspect, you don't see that much like PSAs towards the end, but I guess that's kind of like inherent in a lot of the programming that you might see, like, you know, be a good person, or, you know.
Oh, like they make a bigger effort to make it positive for children.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For the most part. And then I guess I don't know. It's hard to compare, only because I think the shows themselves are just, you know, different. You know, I think that if the show is not inherently like telling you, you know, like you know, be a good person or whatever, that it's kind of just like not giving those messages. It's just learning, kind of, you know, maybe some type of other learning, you know.
And we're recording.
All right.
So, I was thinking up things that we could talk about, and the other day I was watching a cartoon, and it made me think about the cartoons from when we were kids, because we're both like kids of the 80s.
Yeah, somewhat.
And I don't know what children's programming looks like today. I know what a adult cartoon programming looks like today, South Park and things like that.
Yeah.
But like you got kids. Is it different?
Yeah, it's very different.
Okay. It's not like I remember when I was a kid, I would watch like He-Man and G.I. Joe.
Oh, yeah.
And Transformers, Thundercats.
Oh yeah, I love Thundercats.
Yeah, and then there was a spin-off of He-Man, right? Wasn't it She-Ra?
There was.
Yeah, I remember my sister used to watch that, and I think back then, as a little kid, I thought that was like for girls, but I wouldn't necessarily watch it like by myself, but like my sister was watching it, I wasn't like not paying attention to it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, because it was like a different universe or something, right?
Yeah.
What cartoons did you watch when you were a kid?
So some of the same. So I did watch. I liked Thundercats. Did you just say that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I don't know if you remember Silverhawks. But
I don't remember Silverhawks.
Okay, so I love Silverhawks. And let me see. Yeah, He-Man, of course. G.I. Joe. Voltron.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I had because remember there were two versions of Voltron. There was the one with the cats, and then the one with the cars.
What?
Yeah, I had like a cat version where like I had all 5 things and it made Voltron.
Okay.
And then I also had a smaller one of the cars. And I don't remember the storyline on that.
I've never seen that one with the cars.
The one with the cars?
That's
so wait,
weird to me.
Here, let me look it up. But then, what's so different about like kids cartoons now? Like you watch cartoons sometimes with your kids?
Yeah. So I mean, I guess the biggest thing, which a lot of people might be able to relate to, that, you know, are familiar with like 80s cartoons, is that since there is no like regular television, you know, everything's a streaming thing, that you can't just like put it on one channel and then kind of, I mean, I guess you can put it on, you know, like Netflix or
Oh, I
Disney
see what you're
Plus,
saying.
you
But
know?
what was different about the programming itself, though?
So you just had like you know, difference in the show, like the show quality. So
Well, I mean, like I remember one of the cool things about like G.I. Joe or whatever, they always did the PSAs at the end.
oh yeah, okay,
And they were so entertaining that I remember like repeating them
yeah,
to my friends.
yeah.
Hey, by the way, here, this is what it looks like with the cars.
Okay. Oh, that is so trippy. I'm not.
Yeah, and then it even called it. Oh, what did it just say? It said Voltron Car Force,
Oh yeah, no. I'm sorry. That's a bad spinoff.
Defender of the Universe's Vehicle Force
That's terrible.
from 1984. But I remember mainly the cats. The cats were the ones that I really liked.
Yeah, that's the cat. Yeah, for sure. So you know that they, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but they made a new Voltron that was on Netflix.
Yeah, and wait. What was the difference between programming now?
So
and I am aware of Voltron,
okay.
Let's come back to it.
So I guess, I mean, from that aspect, you don't see that much like PSAs towards the end, but I guess that's kind of like inherent in a lot of the programming that you might see, like, you know, be a good person, or, you know.
Oh, like they make a bigger effort to make it positive for children.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For the most part. And then I guess I don't know. It's hard to compare, only because I think the shows themselves are just, you know, different. You know, I think that if the show is not inherently like telling you, you know, like you know, be a good person or whatever, that it's kind of just like not giving those messages. It's just learning, kind of, you know, maybe some type of other learning, you know.
Okay, so it's more written in the show, and it wasn't like how, I mean, G.I. Joe had lessons in the show, but there was a lot of just violence.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they would have the PSA.
Right.
Although I used to have a T-shirt that was done up like the G.I. Joe font, and in fact, it even said "Knowing is half the," or it said G.I. Joe, but then below it said "Knowing is half the battle," but it was a adult joke T-shirt. So right below that, it said the other half seems to be pure violence. But yeah, no, you were saying about Voltron. I did see that. I don't know how many seasons there were, but I remember watching at least one or two.
Yeah, I should know because I watched them all. I don't remember now. 3 seasons, maybe 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I liked how they kind of rebooted the whole thing and they went back to finding the cats again.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool that they did all that. And you know, they kept a lot the same. They kept a lot of like the character personalities the same. Yeah, everything that they did, they did it good. They did it justice to the original show.
Nice. Yeah, you know, I like it when they do some of the throwback stuff. And maybe it was just because I was a little kid, but I really liked all of that stuff. And I like that there's like Transformers movies out now. Or I remember watching, and I can't remember if it was just called The Amazing Spider-Man, but or it was called Spider-Man. It was a cartoon, and they had Spider-Man, Iceman, and a woman that was on fire all the time. I don't remember what she's called. She's called Fire Woman or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. I mean, Spider-Man was like swinging around, and then Iceman was sliding around on the ice slides or whatever he would make.
Nice. You know what? Back then, I wasn't into a whole lot of like the Marvel or, well, yeah, I don't. So quick sidebar is that, yeah, there's gonna be a thin line between like some 80s cartoons and 90s cartoons. It might kind of bleed in a little bit because they're like on that cusp. But so like I remember watching like X-Men cartoons, but there wasn't. I don't think I was really into like, you know, what was DC or what was Marvel. You know,
yeah, I didn't know what that stuff was either until I was an adult.
Yeah,
but yeah, I was a big time watcher of X-Men. Loved it, and I remember watching it in the 80s, but I think I also watched it in the 90s.
Yeah, maybe like early 90s or something. But yeah.
Yeah, in fact, when did the first X-Men movie come out? Was it 2000 or
Yeah, I think
2001?
it was around 2001.
I just remember being so psyched because I just remember like laying on the floor in front of the TV as a little kid, Saturday morning watching that, and the Sentinels, the big robots and stuff. And it felt like everyone could fly in that.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that more people could fly in the live action movies.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just cool to see like the X-Men cartoons in the live action. I remember being excited about that, and you know how they would portray some of those powers and characteristics into a live action movie.
Yeah, and to be honest, as technology moves forward and we get better and better computer graphics and things are more seamless, it looks even better to me. I think that's why I like comic book movies.
Yeah. So the thing is, though, sometimes I feel like we really had it good back in the day, like you know, in these like late 80s, early 90s. You know, with some of these cartoons, like because I mean, you don't. That's the one thing you don't really have anymore. Like, yeah, you can sit in front of the TV and like sit, and watch. Disney Plus forever, for hours and hours. But it's just a different feel when you can like, put on whatever, channel 6, and then you're sitting in your living room and you just watch what comes on.
That's true. I don't remember the station that I turned to. I think it might have been the local Fox station.
Yeah.
But either way, you're right. Like I would just throw on the station Saturday morning and I would just watch it for like a couple hours.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely had a way different feel to it. And then there was also that aspect of like coming home from school. And then I for some reason, I feel like I got home from school at like 3:00.
Yeah.
Still turn on the TV and you got your, late afternoon cartoons.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't just Saturday morning. It was in the afternoon too.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of it was just Saturday morning cartoons replayed.
Yeah.
But I was totally fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it wasn't X-Men on in the afternoon?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So there was some replays there, but even though, and then not all the shows were the same. So, you did get your shows that were after school shows and.
True. And they weren't as serialized as they are now. So like if you missed one, it wasn't that big a deal.
Right.
But at the same time, there was a little bit of that because if they introduce a new character and then you watch later on, you're like, wait, where did this guy come from? Yeah. But at the same time, did you have any of the toys?
Yeah, I did. I had a few.
What'd you have?
So I don't remember. It's funny because the Silverhawks was one of my favorite. I don't remember a whole lot about the show. I just remember having like 3 or 4 characters and just playing with those. And it had like, these little wings that would come out or whatever. And
I don't remember Silverhawks at all.
And what other ones? I'm sure I had some, some G.I. Joes and, and some Transformers. Yeah, I think like some of the G.I. Joes were the most fun to play with. But what was fun too was like mixing all the different toys.
You know what? This looks really awesome. I'm looking up Silverhawks right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember this at all.
Yeah.
I had the car Voltron, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
I also, but I had that was a tiny one, and I had like the cat Voltron one, not the large one that you could fit the figurines in, but the one that stood like, I don't know, like 1.5 feet or something. It was like this.
Yeah.
And I used to play with that all the time. And there were like little things where like it would shoot things out of the hand, or no, I think the heads flew out of the hands, and out of the feet there was like a little thing that shot out. Either way, I had those, and then I liked Transformers.
Yeah.
I was big into Transformers. I didn't have a lot of them, but like if I found out friends had them, I would ask my mom like if I went over to their house or something, can I bring my Transformers?
Yeah.
Because then we could do like battles and things like that.
Yeah.
And I also had He-Man. And I think that was a thing that started like for like my birthday or something. But I remember Christmases and birthdays, like opening a new He-Man doll or action figure, I should call it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't even remember what they did, but I just remember like with my friends, like making them like fight each other and then you ride around on the little sled thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any of those?
I did have some He-Man toys. I don't remember what his vehicle was called. That was like, it would like rotate, like the back of it would rotate to the front.
Yeah, I don't remember what that was either.
For some reason, that was like my favorite toy.
It looked like a jet ski or something, didn't it?
Yeah.
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 And he would fight Skeletor and stuff on it, right?
Yep.
Did you have or know anyone that had the castles?
I'm sure somebody did. Man, that's a far memory thinking about.
I had I think I had both of them. I remember the Skeletor's castle was like Castle Snake or something like that, or Snake Fortress or
something like that.
But it had a thing that you could talk into, and it would make you sound like Skeletor. Yeah. That was like my favorite part. Sometimes I wasn't even playing; I was just playing with that thing and saying things to my parents or sister or something. Yeah.
You know, I recently looked up like He-Man, just to look at the old trailer, and I don't know, man. It just it only doesn't age well, because what was his lion or cat called? Like the thing was like a scaredy cat, like because he showed
it used to. And he used to complain or something.
Yeah, and he like would point the sword at it to like, so it would become the battle cat, but it didn't look any different. It still looked like a little like scaredy cat
name. Cringer.
Yeah, but it turned to battle cat, right? Or was that the name of it? When I think that's when he would like give it the superpowers.
Yes. Okay, so I'm looking online right here, and it says, whenever Adam, and I didn't remember that He-Man's real name was Adam, but it was whenever Adam transformed into He-Man, he used his power sword to transform Cringer into a much larger and mightier battle cat. And he would ride him.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. This is like from 83. Yeah. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But no, one of the things I was thinking about was how basically it was basically like a half an hour commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And they would sell you on why the show, what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say like, they would basically pitch it to you to like kind of respect the show. Like G.I. Joe stood for good. He-Man stood for good. Then Thundercats were standing for good, and Voltron was standing for, and you kind of looked up to them. And then they would roll in and out of commercials, and sometimes they would advertise the toys for the show during the commercial or during the show in a commercial. But the commercial was also a cartoon sometimes. And it just felt like, when does the show end and when does the commercial begin? And now as an adult, I've looked back at some of that stuff, and I was just looking this up. I had it written down here. Evidently, the reason why stuff like that stopped was because during the 80s, the FCC was working with Congress to come up with some type of regulation so that you can't just try to trick kids into buying things. Because when there's not a firm like point where the show ends and the commercial begins, it's confusing. I mean, it's confusing as an adult, but it's got to be even more confusing as a kid.
Okay.
And so evidently in 91, or actually I'm seeing here, in October of 1990, they enacted a thing called the Children's Television Act, which basically says that they can't do that anymore. So like if nowadays, if there was a G.I. Joe show, I think there is another one, isn't there?
I think so.
Okay, and they probably sell the action figures. They can't advertise during the show.
They can't advertise for a G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like back in the day, if it was like, let's say G.I. Joe and then like He-Man was afterwards, then they could advertise for G.I. Joe during He-Man or advertise for He-Man during G.I. Joe. But I mean, that's not what they did in the past. They just melded it all together.
Yeah. Okay. I could see that. And I don't know, maybe that was a little bit smarter, you know. That's a smarter way to advertise. I mean,
it's the more manipulative way to do it, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm happy that they did that. Not that they took advantage of kids, but I mean that they changed the format so that's illegal now.
But wait, I feel like recently I've seen like a show being played, and then a commercial or advertisement for something in the show or for the.
Well,
I feel like I've seen that.
See, there's limits to this. So, if your show is mainly targeting children under 12, you can't do it. If your show is targeting 16 to 13, they can do it, but they need to, at least from what I've understood, they can do it, but they need to tell you that this is an advertisement. Or at least they need to make it obvious that it is. And then 17 and older, they're just like, hey, man, you figure it out for yourself.
But what's the difference? Because like, so if you're having a G.I. Joe show or whatever, maybe even a show from today, and it plays and then gets to the end, and then there's a commercial. Say there's no clear cut line that the show has ended, and the commercial begins. But what's the?
Well, I seem to remember, at least when I was a kid, that there was times where like the show would be going on and then all of a sudden it felt like they were talking like to the audience. And then they were saying things like, and you can get this to have at home. And then I was just thinking like, is this still part of the show?
Yeah.
And then we go right back into the action. And I'm thinking, as an adult now, I'm thinking back like, oh, they cut to commercial, but the commercial was kind of woven into the show, so it didn't look like anything stopped.
Yeah.
But I mean, they could remove that chunk, and it wasn't part of the storyline.
Okay. So with that being said, so then could you have like the show be playing, then a commercial for another product, and then a commercial for yours for the show that was just on, and then maybe I mean I guess it depends on also the commercial break, how long it's going to be the break. But say you got watching, you know what I'm saying.
Well, you're kind of saying two things here. So first of all, at least according to the Wikipedia site, they're only allowed to do 12 minutes of advertisement per hour to children under 12, and it has to be obvious that it's advertisement. And if your show is, XYZ, then you can't advertise for XYZ toys during the show, but you can advertise during the same hour. If maybe the second half hour is a different show, then you could advertise then.
Okay, I get it.
So I mean, there's loopholes to it. So like if the kid was watching cartoon A and then started watching cartoon B because it was right afterwards, and then they started advertising for cartoon A's toys, it's still fresh in their head, you know. But at least, I don't know. I look at this as a good step in the right direction, and that, as an adult, I can generally understand. Well, I understand why people are advertising, and I can generally figure out that these are advertisements. Yeah. Although that also goes into a little bit of, and it was on, what's that show on HBO? Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
Oh, okay.
And they were talking about sponsored stories where they might go to like a local morning show for a news program, and you could pay for them to cover a story about you, and you basically give them the script, which is effectively a commercial
Yeah.
that you think is part of the show, but we're adults, so I guess they can do that, but they can't do that to kids, which, hey, we should protect the kids, of course. But it's just funny. It feels like the 80s ruined it.
Yeah.
Because every single one of those things had toys, and not like one or two toys, like a lot of toys.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they necessarily ruined it, because you still find some of these shows. I mean, I don't know if they're necessarily more shows than movies that just hammer out toys and advertisement for these toys and everything. I mean, if you just look at like Trolls or Frozen,
That's
I
true.
know they're not shows, like, they're more movies. I mean, I think Trolls has like a little show or something like that, but you find, I mean, they have toys ridiculous.
But I just feel like the difference is like, if a movie comes out, then it's the one time. It's like a single point in time. Sure, it might get replayed in the theaters, or it might be on television later, or you might. I was going to say buy the DVD, but do people even do that anymore?
No.
So, I mean, I guess you could watch it over and over again, but this was like new entertainment every week that was basically pushing you to get toys. And I've got a little bit of a conspiracy theory. I've never actually heard anyone say this is true or not. This is just my theory.
Okay.
But you know how like G.I. Joe would do the PSAs at the end?
Yeah.
I almost feel like they knew what they were doing, but to not have anyone stop them, these toy companies, because there were toy companies that would put on these cartoons.
Yeah.
And, it wasn't like it was like a production company. The toy company would go to the production company and go, we need to sell more of our toys. Or they would develop the entire thing all at the same time. Like, we're going to come out with a line of toys, cartoon, the whole thing, and sell that way. But I almost felt like they would go overboard, like with G.I. Joe doing PSAs, just to be like, look, we're doing good things.
Yeah.
And I actually had a list of them here, and I was going through some of them. Some of them are kind of, I don't know if they're real PSAs. It feels a little weak, but
Okay.
like one was Scarlett from G.I. Joe encourages a girl to learn how to water ski.
Okay.
Now, I mean, if you go through the rest of your life and never knowing how to water ski, it's not a real detriment.
Yeah, true that. True.
But there were some other ones here, and I forgot some of these guys' names. One guy named Snow Job.
Oh, goodness.
So I guess he did stuff in the snow. I don't know. But he warns children not to go out on thin ice and how to rescue someone if they're caught out there.
Okay.
Then there was another one where Torpedo helps a boy who can't swim that has fallen into deep water.
Okay.
Or one was Gun Ho teaches children not to prejudge others. These are all good things, except for the water skiing one. I don't know what was up with that. But I almost feel like they were like, we're going to go over the top. We're going to make sure we're going to send a good message. We're going to do good things. And then maybe no one will shut down this money train we've got going on.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm necessarily on board with that conspiracy theory. But I've never thought about that one that much. It probably, I mean, to me, it feels like they were just, into the money, and maybe just having a like that flow. So you have your cartoon and your toys, and then just to round it all out, let's throw in a good message for the kids.
And the other thing I wanted to ask you about is like when you're watching cartoons with your kids, do you feel like any of it is for you? Like, do they throw in things that the kids won't get that you're like, what?
Yeah, they do that a lot in the movies too.
Okay.
I feel like there's a lot of like a like I use adult humor loosely because it's not like graphic adult humor, but yeah, there's some adult jokes in there where it's like, yeah, there's no kid is gonna understand what you're talking about.
Well, I don't remember any adult humor in the cartoons that I watched as a kid, but of course it wouldn't have been designed for me.
Yeah.
And I haven't rewatched those things since I was a kid.
Oh,
So
you haven't seen any of those like I don't know, other videos or TikToks or anything where people are like, I never noticed this when I was a kid, and it shows some show and I don't know, a lot
it's
of
just real adult
yeah,
crap.
and they and they throw something in there, and then the character is like, something that's grown up, and kids wouldn't have got it, but
Well, one of the things I was going to say was just the drawing itself. Like as a little kid, I didn't notice this, but I remember as like a teenager, sometimes these cartoons would be on, replayed on TV.
yeah,
I'd flipping through TV, I'd see something, and maybe I wouldn't even sit through and watch it. Just seeing it for a second would make me think, wait, what? So like here, I just want to throw this up here.
okay,
So this is, of course, Thundercats.
yep,
And I just want to point out how the women are drawn.
oh yeah,
I mean, it's
Yeah.
like it's like real comic book style,
yeah,
which is maybe contributing to some of the body image stuff we have
yeah,
now.
true.
But then I feel like it gets even worse. Like here's another one. This is
Okay,
Scarlet from G.I. Joe.
yeah,
And I was just thinking, you're still drawing her like she's a model.
yeah,
And then I was flipping through some of these earlier, and this one I thought was just like over the top. This one is I believe it's He-Man. I mean, what is this? I mean, I was looking at it.
she's captured, and look at that, the battle cat in the back. I think they're just trying to figure out, like, she looks like she's unconscious, and they're trying to rescue her.
Yeah, and she's got
Yeah.
almost no pants on. I mean,
Yeah,
I at first I thought it was a joke.
yeah,
I actually kept looking at
Yeah.
reading this page thinking this has got to be a parody.
yeah,
But it's not. And probably as a kid I would have just been like, oh no, she's in trouble.
Yeah.
And as an adult I'm like, oh no, she's
yeah.
in trouble. Wait a minute.
Well, I don't know. You probably were watching some of the wrong cartoons.
Well, I gotta say, what was the thunder the Thundercat the woman, the orange woman?
Chitara.
Yes. I think and this is probably shouldn't be admitting this out loud, but I'm pretty sure that that was my first crush.
Oh yeah,
Because I remember as a little kid feeling a little different
Yeah.
about her when she came on TV. Like everyone needs to be quiet because I need to pay
yeah,
attention.
yeah. You shouldn't have been admitting that.
I mean,
Yeah.
what was I, like 10 or something?
Okay, so so here's what I mean by you watching the wrong cartoon, because while Thundercats was probably getting you like all hot and bothered when you shouldn't have been, you should have been watching shows like Babar. Have you ever seen that?
Babar?
Yeah. Have you
No.
ever seen Babar? Okay, so go ahead, just look it up. I'm gonna give you a little synopsis. So Babar was I don't know if you would say he was like a
How are you spelling that?
Babar.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
okay.
So I don't
Here
know
we
if
go.
you would say he's like a humanoid elephant. I don't know if humanoid's the right word, whatever. But Babar is an elephant. I think in the very first episode, like they show like his parents or were killed by hunters.
Oh wait, I do remember
Yeah.
this.
And then but
Was it on Nickelodeon or something?
I remember it being on HBO.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
But
He was like, was born into royalty, and but his parents were killed when he was
yeah,
young.
it was on HBO.
He was a young elephant, but then like had to grow up with the rest of his extended family in the kingdom and, learn to become a great king.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's good stuff.
It is. It is.
And that one taught you valuable lessons within the show.
G.I. Joe taught you that America is number one.
Yeah.
And when the going gets tough, just blow some shit up.
Yeah, G.I. Joe was pretty badass though.
So when I was looking through this stuff, in preparation for us talking about it, I guess I didn't remember it until I read it, and then I started thinking, oh yeah, did you know that Thundercats was like a spin-off of He-Man?
Oh, it was?
Yeah, and in like the first episode, it was like Skeletor did something to strand them wherever that. Remember, because they were always stranded somewhere.
Yeah. Interesting. I didn't know that.
I just remember the awesome sword that he held up to his eyes.
Yeah.
And then he did his chant, and it was very He-Man like. Didn't He-Man hold up a sword?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think in Thundercats, like his sword ended up like, curving around. Yeah.
It like changed.
Yeah,
the sword got bigger, I think.
Yeah.
Well, wait, and He-Man didn't that happen too?
It did too, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. See, that's what you're talking about. That's the bad, like the swords get.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yep. Didn't even put that together, but that's making more sense.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe some of these cartoons were as good as we thought.
I feel like I want to rewatch them, but I also feel like it's probably going to be a disappointment.
Yeah, on some of them. Some stuff you may just like burst out in laughter. Like, did you ever watch Gumby?
I did a little bit. Yeah. Gumby and Pokey?
Yeah. Yeah, see, I feel like if I was to rewatch Gumby and Pokey, I probably wouldn't be able to stop laughing.
I think that's something that I need to have a couple drinks for. But yeah, I never really seek them out. It was when I was really young, there was a couple places that I would go for like daycare while my parents were at work. And the one place where this woman watched us, and she would put stuff like that on. I mean, real benign.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Gumby.
Yeah, right.
I feel like if she saw like He-Man or G.I. Joe or Transformers or something, she would have been like, this is too violent.
Right. Yeah.
Although I did really like on G.I. Joe, or not G.I. Joe, Transformers, how it told like a whole story. And there was a whole backstory. Do you remember that?
A little bit.
There was like, they all came from Cybertron. And then there was a war on Cybertron, and the Autobots were losing.
Yeah.
And they had to leave, and they left in their big spaceship. And then the spaceship crashed on Earth, and they were all got like, I don't know, put in standby or something, like they were asleep.
Yeah.
And then years and years went by, and something woke them up, and like kids found their craft or something, and then they became friends with them. I just remember thinking like it was so intricate. There was a huge story that went along with this.
Yeah.
I think that's the other thing I liked about X-Men.
Oh yeah.
That there was a big story.
Yeah. So of all these cartoons that ended up becoming movies in later years, do you have like a favorite? Because Transformers, I think, started out good as movies, but then maybe got to be too many of those.
Yeah, it got. You're right. I think I like the beginning ones better. I would say out of all of them, X-Men.
Yeah,
and I think I like the new. Excuse me, X-Men ones better than the older ones.
Oh, okay.
At least that's how I feel now. When the older ones came out, like in 2000 stuff, I was very excited.
Oh, okay.
But like when they showed the Sentinels in the most recent ones, I just remember thinking like as a kid, those things were super scary. Like a huge robot could come and capture you if you're a mutant.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
So what about, other ones like, there's still X-Men, but like, Days of Future Past or something like that, like those still the same type of thing, or is that like too far into the X-Men story, or even the story of the Phoenix? I didn't watch that movie.
The new cast I think I like even more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Well, I mean, I don't know. You know, part of it might be because the special effects are even better,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and they're able to do so much more.
yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna throw a few out there for you. So what about this cartoon that did become a movie? It wasn't as action packed as Transformers, but Inspector Gadget.
You know, I actually used to watch a lot of Inspector Gadget. Yeah. But wait, that was a movie from a while ago, right? With Matthew Broderick.
Yep. So I've never seen that movie. I've watched the show.
I don't think I've seen it either.
Oh, okay.
Although the cartoon from when I was a kid, that was super cool.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Like, no, what was the girl's name? Penny?
Penny. Yeah, Penny.
And she had that.
Why does it have to come back to the girl character for you?
No. I'm going to that because she was like the brains.
Yeah.
And remember, she had that book that was like, it was almost like a tablet because it was like a computer in there or something, right?
Yeah.
I always thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And the fact that the car changed.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a van and then it was a car.
Yeah. Yeah, Inspector Gadget was pretty good. But yeah, I've never seen the movie, so I don't know how well it translated into a movie. Maybe one day I'll have to watch that when I have some downtime and critique it.
Did you ever watch Mask?
No.
I'm trying to find a good image of this so I can show you. But it came out in like 85. And the problem is now I'm searching for Mask on the internet. And since we just went through COVID, everything
you're
else.
Gonna find something good.
Yeah, nothing is about this cartoon. But it was an acronym that stood for something. And I'm not sure what it stood for. But they had flying cars in it. And I remember it was only on TV for 2 years, and one of my friends had all of the cars. I just remember sitting in the backyard, like just playing with his Mask cars, because I remember you could push a button and then the wings would come out, so we'd be like driving along in the grass, and then you push a button and then we're flying around and we're like shooting at each other. Those were the days.
Okay, so did you ever watch Gem and the Holograms?
No, wait, hold on one second. I just looked it up. Okay. Mask stands for, and this is so wrapped up. It stands for Mobile Armored Strike Command, but command is spelled with a K.
Oh, goodness.
So that it makes the word mask.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you asked if I watched something?
If you watch Gem and the Holograms?
No. Wait, what is this?
Gem and you don't know about Gem?
No.
So Gem was she was truly outrageous.
No.
Are you serious? You don't know?
This is sci-fi from 85. I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah.
I do not remember this.
I'm gonna get it so wrong because that's all I remember is that because that was part of the pitch of the show was like she was truly outrageous. But I think she had like some type of a guitar. I think she was like
a singer.
Yeah, I think she was she like a regular student or a regular teenage girl? But then she had like a guitar that could like change her into a pop star, and then she had like the holograms were her friends, but they were like backup. I think they all played an instrument, and I think they fought like evil too or some type of bad people.
See, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page right here, and it says the series was a joint collaboration between Hasbro, Sunbro Productions, and Marvel Productions. The same team responsible for G.I. Joe and Transformers. The creators of the series, Christy Marks, I don't know what that is, also had been a staff writer for the aforementioned programs. But see, this is what I'm talking about. It was like, I bet you there was a whole toy line with this.
So that's interesting that you brought that up though, because I never thought about there being the toys first. I guess I should have thought about it.
I don't know if there were the toys first. I think that the toy companies went to the production companies and said, we got a great idea. We'll work together to come up with together a cartoon and a toy line. And then when the cartoon goes live, we're gonna sell the crap out of these toys.
Okay, so maybe now I can be on board with your theory, but yeah.
Right? Because if you knew that you could basically get kids to annoy the crap out of all their parents until they ended up buying this stuff, and you know, what were the parents going to do? I guess just take it.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point they're going to give in and buy something.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a gold mine, and then you know somebody's going to come along and wreck that.
Yeah.
You can't manipulate children that way.
Yeah.
At least anymore.
Okay, so I didn't. Oh, I had another one for you too because So what about did you ever hear of Danger Mouse?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that show too because he was like a detective.
Was he? I thought he was a superhero.
No, I think Mighty Mouse was a superhero.
Wait, am I getting Mighty Mouse and Danger Mouse confused?
And Mighty Mouse was like a teeny tiny mouse, but he was like, you know, had major muscle.
Oh yeah, 1981 Danger Mouse series. Yeah. Oh yeah, and the now I remember the logo. The mouse had like a bomb as the O. Man, our childhood was very violent with guns and bombs.
But listen, it was pretty great. It was pretty great. I feel like a lot of these cartoons were, I don't know, they were pretty pioneer. They were pretty good.
Although I gotta say, I remember as like a teenager talking to my grandfather about this because I used to watch what's it called with Bugs Bunny and all those guys.
What, Looney Tunes?
Looney Tunes. That's it. I used to watch Looney Tunes all the time.
Yeah.
And on Saturday morning, if we weren't going fishing or something like that, we would be, he would be reading the paper or doing whatever he was doing. And I'd be sitting on the floor watching Looney Tunes. And I remember having a conversation later on, like when I was a teenager, about how those cartoons might not have been the best.
Yeah.
If you remember, like Elmer Fudd was always trying to basically shoot Bugs Bunny. And then I don't know if Bugs Bunny Bugs Bunny would get shot once in a while, but Daffy Duck would definitely take a shotgun to the face all the time.
Yeah.
And his bill would slide all the way around.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's funny, but at the same time, what lesson are we teaching kids that you can shoot? What? I mean,
a duck? I don't think it was.
But Daffy Duck was supposed to be your friend.
Yeah, but I don't know.
You don't think that was a little messed up?
I don't know. I never took that from it.
Or how about what was it, the Roadrunner, the Coyote and Roadrunner? Yeah.
All that taught you was that you just need to outsmart your enemy.
But they were always blowing each other up and
not the Roadrunner. He was, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Coyote was just
Meep.
Yeah, he was just an idiot. He was.
and the one thing I do miss that I always thought was awesome was when they would run away so fast that the cloud would still be there, and then it would dissipate and they wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Man, cartoons have definitely changed.
Yeah, they have.
Okay, so wait, if you don't believe that was bad, what are your thoughts on Pepe Le Pew?
Okay, so
I mean, that didn't age great.
Yeah, it didn't age great at all.
I mean, at the time when I was a kid, I thought it was funny, but now looking back in as an adult, it was a lot of.
Yeah, he was very forceful.
Yeah, a lot of not asking permission.
Yeah, but he was very persistent.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
it was pretty bad. Yeah, you're right. It didn't age well.
No, but as a kid, it was funny. As an adult, I'm like,
yeah, right.
You're not gonna be able to put that on TV now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember? Just thinking you were talking about Danger Mouse. What about Woody the Woodpecker?
Oh yeah. I do remember. Man, I don't remember a lot of details about the show though. I know. I don't remember any details.
I remember he had that. How did he do it? It was like, Yep. That, and I always remember, and I don't know where I got this, but I had an oversized coloring book of Woody the Woodpecker.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was so cool because it was like 4 times the size of a normal coloring book.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember like any lessons from the show or what the show was about. Like, but yeah, I just remember him as a character. That's about it.
Yeah.
And it was his own show, right?
Yeah, it was his own show.
It wasn't like because like Looney Tunes cartoons, there was just a bunch, like there was Bugs Bunny and then whatever else. But I don't know, was he in that?
No, I think he was outside of that. He had his own thing.
Okay.
Although I just Googled it, and evidently there was a Woody the Woodpecker movie that came out in 2017.
What?
And you can watch it on Netflix, but not in the United States. What is up with that?
Yeah, that's strange.
I've never heard of this before. Is there something wrong with it, or
maybe? I'm gonna have to research that just to find out why we can't watch here.
Yeah, I was just saw one of these Google questions where it said, "Is Woody the Woodpecker from Disney?" And the answer is no. It's from Walter Lantz Studios, whatever that is, and distributed by Universal. So
okay.
Yeah, because Looney Tunes was Warner Brothers,
yeah,
right?
it was Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, interesting. There was a lot of good cartoons back then. I'm sure that there's some that we didn't even mention that are like top notch that we probably watched.
Yeah, I tried to rewatch. Do you remember the original Transformers movie, the cartoon?
No.
It was in theaters. It was in the 80s. I remember I begged my mom to go see it, and she took myself and one of my friends, and we watched it. And I just remember it being like the coolest thing ever because
it was a cartoon movie?
It was a cartoon movie. I think it was just a couple hours long.
Yeah.
And one of the Transformers in it was it called Omicron? The thing that's like an entire planet.
Okay. Yeah. I think you're right.
And I just remember thinking, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then I think during the pandemic, I was like, oh, I should rewatch that movie.
Yeah.
And it wasn't great. It was great when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But as an adult, I'm like, are you guys serious with this? Like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it did tell the story of how, because the bad guy in Transformers is
Megatron.
Megatron. Thank you. But then he turns into Galvatron.
Oh, okay. Oh, man.
So the thing was, I remember about the movie was that when you were watching the cartoon on TV, Megatron was a gun. And then in the movie, he was eaten by Omicron and killed and then brought back to life as Galvatron, which was a cannon.
Oh.
But he was a different color and everything. Yeah. But he still led the Decepticons, but he was slightly different. And I remember after watching the movie, then watching the cartoon on TV again, and it had changed. And I just remember thinking, wow, if my mom didn't let me go see that movie, I would have been totally lost in this cartoon.
Nice.
Like almost like I was proving it in my mind. Like, this is why I had to see it, Mom. You don't remember that?
I don't.
Even in the more recent Transformers movies, Megatron is talked about as Galvatron. Now they've changed the storyline a little bit, but
nope. I think for some reason, I don't know how I missed that. Yeah, maybe I knew it at one point, but I totally forgot.
Well, because you remember one of the more recent ones, that there was a company that was making their own Transformers humans, and they were making them to defend themselves from Decepticons. But what had happened was they made a Transformer called Galvatron, but what they weren't telling the Autobots is that they made it by using code from Megatron's head.
Oh.
and occasionally Galvatron would do something different, like not what he was told to do.
Yeah.
And then they figured out later on, wait a second, Galvatron is Megatron. And then, of course, Optimus and everybody else was all just flew into action to take care of the problem. I don't know. Maybe the cartoons are just as good. You're kind of telling me not so much, but, you know, maybe it's like when I tried to rewatch the original Transformers movie, and I remember it being a huge deal to me as a kid. And as an adult, I'm like, this is not, it's good, but it's not what I was thinking it was.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's worth trying to find some of these old cartoons and, you know, maybe giving 3 episodes a watch, see how it pans out.
I'm definitely going to go, because it was, the new Voltron was Netflix, right?
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to go and see and make sure that I watched all of them.
Yeah.
Because that was years ago, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's got to be like 6 or 7,
maybe not
5 or
that
6.
Long. I don't know. Maybe. I don't feel like it's been that long. Maybe 3 years. So.
Well, either way, I don't remember what I saw.
Okay, yeah.
I just remember they started from scratch and they were finding the cats again.
Yeah. However, you do know that they did make a She-Ra too on Netflix, so you can watch that.
Call my sister and tell her her show's back.
Yep.
Huh. Well, that's all I really had. I started thinking about how toys tied into cartoons and how it was just like a really big deal. And I felt like some things had changed, and I remember going in, then I went and I looked it up, and it turns out, the law had changed. But I thought, as an adult looking back at this, wow, what a money-making scheme! Like,
oh yeah,
like you know, we're gonna build a product, and we'll build this product in a certain way where it's just gonna make just a landslide of money.
Yeah, and and the other interesting part is to figure out, because honestly, I've never thought about, like I said before, I never thought about like if the maybe it was a collaboration of like the toy and the cartoon, but it feels like, or maybe the cartoon and then they're gonna the toy or whatever came first, you know. But it's interesting that it was like a joint effort, because it feels like a lot of times, I don't know, maybe it's naive of me to think that like they come up with like this movie or cartoon idea, and then they realize it's such a hit, and then come up with the merchandise and, you know, everything else afterwards.
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely think that does happen. But if you're a toy company and you're doing really well, and you're like, I want to do even better, but nobody else is coming up for toys for you to make, why not just come up with your own idea and then go to some of these companies you've worked with before and go, let's make some more money.
Yeah.
All right. Well, will you guys please comment down below and let us know what your favorite toys and cartoons were of the 80s, or I guess the 90s. We talked about that too. Yep. And just let us know. Maybe we're totally off base, or maybe you guys were thinking the same thing. That the toy companies definitely had a good scheme going for a little while.
Yeah, just let us know in the comments and give us some feedback.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
All right.